My name is Sara. I am 20 years old now, but the story I'm about to tell you began when I was just 14. It is not an easy story to share. Even today, it hurts to recall those nights, those fears, and the hidden truth that lived inside my own house. But I want to tell it, because maybe it can open someone's eyes. Maybe it can save another girl like me. When I was young, I lived with my mother and father in a small rented house. My father was strict but loving, and I always felt safe in his presence. But life has a way of breaking things we think are permanent. My father had a sudden heart attack when I was just 13. That night is still clear in my memory. Ambulance sirens, neighbors whispering, and my mother's endless crying. Everything shattered in a moment. After my father's death, my mother changed completely. She was only 30 years old, left alone with me. She tried to stay strong, but I could see her breaking every day. Relatives advised her to remarry. At first, she refused, but loneliness is cruel. After 1 year, she finally agreed. That is when he entered our lives. My stepfather's name was Imran. He was 38, tall, well-spoken, and at first glance he seemed very polite. He would bring sweets for me, take my mother shopping, and try to act like a protective man of the house. Everyone praised him. Sara is lucky to have such a caring stepfather, they would say. But I knew little about the shadows that hid behind his smile. At first, everything seemed fine. My mother finally looked happy. She laughed again, cooked special dinners, and started dressing like a young woman again. I wanted her happiness, so I stayed quiet, even when I noticed things that felt strange. Imran began to notice me too much. If I walked into the room, his eyes followed me. If I sat, he would ask unnecessary questions. How is school, Sara? You're growing up fast. You're looking beautiful these days. At first, I thought it was normal, but soon his words changed. His stares became heavier, and his compliments made my skin crawl. One night, my mother was unwell and went to sleep early. I was in the living room, finishing my homework, when Imran came and sat too close beside me. His voice was soft, almost whispering. Sara, you should always trust me. I'm here for you more than your real father ever was. I froze. Something about his tone felt wrong. He placed his hand on my shoulder, slowly in a way that wasn't fatherly at all. My heart raced. I quickly stood up and said I was tired, running into my room. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, did I imagine it? Was it just in my head? But it wasn't just my head. Over the weeks, his behavior grew bolder. If my mother wasn't around, he would find excuses to come near me. You shouldn't wear such clothes at home, Sara, he said once, staring at me. Another time, when my mother had gone to the market, he knocked on my room's door, insisting, I just want to check if you're okay. I pretended to be asleep until he left. I lived in constant fear. I couldn't tell my mother. She was so happy with him, so convinced she had found a good man. How could I break her heart again? Who would believe me? People always blame the girl. They say, she must have done something. She must have attracted him. So I stayed silent but broken. At school, my friends noticed I had changed. I was no longer cheerful. I avoided talking about home. My grades dropped. Nights were the worst. Every sound made me jump. I would lock my room, push a chair against the door, and pray he wouldn't try to enter. One evening, something happened that I will never forget. My mother had gone to attend a wedding in the neighborhood. and I was alone in the house. Imran returned from work earlier than expected. I tried to avoid him by staying in my room, but he called out, "Sara, come here, I need to talk to you." My legs felt heavy, but I went. He was sitting in the living room, smiling, but his eyes were sharp. "Why are you always avoiding me?" he asked. I mumbled something about studies. He stood up, walked closer, and whispered, "You don't need to be afraid of me. I care for you more than anyone else." I froze. His words felt poisonous. Before I could answer, my mother's voice echoed from the gate. She had returned earlier than expected. Imran immediately stepped back, pretending to look at the TV. My heart pounded with relief. That day, I realized the truth. He was waiting for the right chance, and one day, he would not stop. I had two choices: stay silent and let my life be destroyed, or gather courage and speak the truth, no matter the cost. And that's when everything began to change. That night, when my mother returned from the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying Imran's words in my head. "You don't need to be afraid of me. I care for you more than anyone else." The way he looked at me, it was not the way a father should look at his daughter. I knew then, if I stayed quiet, things would only get worse. But how could I speak? What if my mother refused to believe me? What if she blamed me instead? Society is cruel to girls. They never ask what the man did. They only ask what the girl wore, how she sat, why she didn't stay silent. I was trapped between fear and shame. For weeks, I kept my secret locked inside me. But the pressure was eating me alive. I couldn't concentrate at school. I couldn't laugh with my friends. And I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without feeling disgust. Every time Imran walked past me, I felt like a prisoner inside my own home. Then, one evening, everything changed. It was a Friday. My mother had gone to visit her aunt, and I was again left alone with Imran. My heart sank the moment she stepped out of the door. I locked myself in my room, but minutes later, I heard footsteps outside. He knocked softly. "Sara, open the door. I need to talk to you," he said, his voice calm but heavy. I stayed silent. My hands shook as I pressed the chair tighter against the door. He knocked again, louder this time. "Don't act childish. I know you're inside." I felt trapped. My chest was tight. I whispered to myself, "Ya Allah, help me." Then suddenly my phone buzzed. It was a message from my best friend, Aisha. "Hey Sara, where are you? Can I call you?" Without thinking, I dialed her number. My shaky voice whispered, "Please, just stay on the call with me. Don't hang up." She could hear the fear in my voice. Within minutes, she told her parents, and they rushed to my house. When the bell rang loudly, Imran panicked and stepped away. Aisha's father shouted from outside, and I quickly opened the door. Imran's face turned pale. He tried to smile, pretending everything was normal. But Aisha's father looked at me carefully and asked, "Sara, are you okay? You look scared." Tears filled my eyes. That was the first time I let the truth slip out. "Uncle, I'm not safe here." That night, my secret was no longer a secret. Aisha's parents took me to their home. I cried for hours, finally telling everything. How Imran stared at me, how he ouched me, how he knocked on my door whenever my mother wasn't around. They listened with patience, their faces red with anger. Uncle said firmly, "Sara, you don't deserve this. Your mother must know the truth. The next day, they called my mother over. She was shocked, confused, and at first she refused to believe it. "No, Sara, you must be mistaken. Imran loves us. He takes care of us. How can you say such a thing?" Her denial broke my heart, but I stood my ground. "Ami, I'm your daughter. Do you think I would lie about something like this? Look at me. Do I look happy? Do I look safe?" Tears poured down my face as I begged her to see my pain. Silence filled the room. My mother trembled. Slowly, the reality sank in. She had been so blinded by her need for a partner, she hadn't noticed her daughter's suffering. She broke down crying and hugged me tightly. "Forgive me, Sara. I should have protected you that night." My mother confronted Imran. His mask fell. He shouted, denied, even cursed me for ruining his name. But my mother stood firm. For the first time, she saw the monster behind his fake smile. She kicked him out of our lives. The days that followed weren't easy. Relatives whispered, neighbors judged, and society, as expected, blamed us instead of him. Some even said, "Maybe the girl misunderstood. Maybe she's making it up." Their words cut deep, but I didn't care anymore. I had spoken the truth, and my mother believed me. That was enough. Years passed. I grew stronger. I focused on my studies, determined to build a life where no man could silence me. My mother worked hard, and together we rebuilt our world. Imran tried to contact us once, but we never answered. He became just a shadow in our past. Now, at 20, as I share my story, I understand one thing clearly. Silence protects the abuser, not the victim. If I had stayed quiet, I don't know what would have happened to me. But by speaking up, I not only saved myself, I gave my mother the strength to see the truth too. My message is for every girl listening. If you ever feel unsafe, don't bury it inside. Speak up. Tell someone you trust. And my message for every parent: never ignore your child's words. Sometimes the enemy is not outside, it is inside the house. The dark truth of my stepfather nearly destroyed me, but it also made me stronger. Today, I am not just a survivor, I am a voice, and I will never let that voice be silenced again. Disclaimer: the titles and thumbnails of this video may appear bold to attract viewers, but the story itself is created for educational purposes only. It is designed to help English learners improve listening and speaking skills while also delivering a positive moral message. Any sensitive themes are used only to raise awareness, not to promote negativity. All characters and events are fictional, and any resemblance to real persons is purely coincidental